On a Tuesday afternoon in the fall of 1965, a store manager at a Kmart in Fort Wayne, Indiana, stood in the middle of his store looking at a table of Christmas wrapping paper that was not moving. The holiday season was still weeks away. The paper was taking up floor space he needed. He had tried marking it down on a sign. Nobody stopped. Then he found a police beacon in the back room. He plugged it in, set it on a pole above the table, and picked up the store intercom. "Attention Kmart shoppers," he said. "There is a blue light special in aisle 7. Christmas wrapping paper. 15 minutes only." The wrapping paper was gone in 4 minutes. He did it again the following week with a different item. Gone again. By the end of the year, the idea had spread to Kmarts across the country. And by the end of the decade, the blue light was as American as anything in retail. A rotating police beacon on a chrome pole in the middle of a discount store, turning shopping into something that felt, for exactly 15 minutes at a time, like a game that anyone could win. Here is what almost nobody talks about. Before Walmart convinced America that everyday low prices were better than the occasional exciting one, before the orange stickers and the always low prices guarantee, and the idea that shopping should be efficient rather than fun, there was Kmart. And Kmart understood something no other store quite figured out the same way, that the most powerful feeling a shopper could have was not saving money. It was the feeling of being in the right place at exactly the right moment. The blue light was not about the merchandise, it was about that feeling, and for nearly 3 decades, nothing in American retail came close. Sebastian Sparing Kresge started with 2 5-and-dime stores in 1899, one in Memphis, one in Detroit, selling nothing for more than 10 cents. His idea was simple: keep the prices low enough that anyone could afford to walk in and leave with something. The Kresge name spread through the Midwest and the East Coast, and by 1940 there were 682 stores across the country, each one a neighborhood fixture with a lunch counter, a candy counter, and bins of small merchandise that working families could actually reach. Here is something almost nobody remembers about those stores. The Kresge lunch counter was where a lot of American children had their very first restaurant meal. Not a special occasion somewhere with tablecloths and a menu. Just a Tuesday after school, a grilled cheese and a Coca-Cola for under $1, served by a woman who called you honey without thinking twice about it. The counter had 12 stools that spun, chrome trim that caught the afternoon light, and a glass case of pie slices rotating slowly at one end. Nobody was trying to be memorable. They were just feeding people. And yet the memory of that counter stayed with people for the rest of their lives. By the late 1950s, Kresge executive Harry Cunningham had been watching the retail landscape shift under his feet. Families were moving to the suburbs. Cars meant people could drive further to shop. The small format 5-and-dime was losing ground to larger stores that could carry more merchandise at lower prices. Cunningham believed Kresge needed to transform itself completely or slowly disappear. He traveled across the country studying the new discount store concept, talking to operators, measuring what worked, understanding what families actually needed from a store. On March 1st, 1962, the first full-size Kmart opened on Ford Road in Garden City, Michigan. 80,000 square feet, wide aisles, consistent pricing. Everything from clothing to hardware to housewares to automotive supplies under one roof. A pharmacy, a garden center, a cafeteria in the back where you could sit down and eat without going anywhere. By 1963, there were 63 Kmarts. By 1966, 122. By 1976, Kmart was opening 271 new stores in a single year, a retail expansion that had never happened before in American history. And running through all of it, from 1965 onward, was the blue light. If you were a child in a Kmart in the 1970s and that light started turning, something happened to you physically. Your heart rate went up. You looked at your mother. She was already moving. You did not know what was on sale. That was the whole point. You ran anyway. The announcement always started the same way. A voice over the loudspeaker, unhurried and deliberate. "Attention Kmart shoppers." A pause. Then the location and the item and the words that ended every announcement like a starting pistol. 15 minutes only. 15 minutes. Not a day sale. Not a weekend deal. 15 minutes from the moment the light turned blue. Whatever was on that table when the clock ran out stayed at full price. Whatever you had not reached in time was gone. Somebody else had it now. The game had rules, a clock, and a prize. And it happened anywhere in the store, at any moment, without warning. You could be in the automotive section, looking at fan belts when the blue light came on in housewares. You chose. You moved or you didn't. The store rewarded the people who moved. No other concept in American retail made shopping feel the way the blue light made it feel. Not before and not since. Walmart eventually surpassed Kmart in total sales. That happened in 1991, the same year Kmart discontinued the blue light for the first time. But Walmart never replaced what the blue light actually was. You can beat something in revenue without replacing what it meant to the people who were there, and nobody has ever replaced it. A woman who shopped at Kmart with her mother in the 1970s described it this way years later. Her mother, she said, could hold her own at a blue light table, throwing the occasional elbow with all the grace of an NHL player. She herself tended to stand back and watch with the same horrified fascination usually reserved for slow-motion train wrecks. What she remembered was not what they bought. She could not remember a single item. What she remembered was being there with her mother, watching her compete, knowing that for 15 minutes the whole store was paying attention to the same thing. That is not a shopping memory. That is a family memory. Kmart made them by accident, every single day, for 26 years. Here is something that gets lost when people tell the story of what happened to Kmart. By 1977, Kmart stores were generating 95% of the parent company's total revenue, and SS Kresge officially changed its name to Kmart Corporation. By 1981, the 2000th Kmart opened. At its peak in 1994, Kmart operated 2,486 stores globally, more than any discount retailer had ever run at one time. For most of the 1980s, Kmart was the largest discount retailer in America. Larger than Walmart, larger than Target, larger than anyone. And inside those stores, in the back near the automotive section, was the layaway counter. A desk, a clerk, a slip of paper with your name on it. You handed over a few dollars, they put a tag on the item, and the item sat behind the counter until you came back and paid a little more. No interest, no credit check, no bank involved, just your name on a slip and an understanding that when you had paid the full price, the item was yours. Working families used the layaway counter to buy Christmas presents starting in October. The children never saw the counter. They saw the result on Christmas morning, under the tree, wrapped in the paper from the blue light special 2 months earlier. Kmart's layaway ended for most items in the 1990s as the company chased a different strategy. It came back briefly during the financial crisis of 2008 when families needed it again, then disappeared. Today, layaway is essentially gone from American retail. What replaced it was the credit card, 0 down, 18% interest, stretched across years. The family that put $20 a week on a layaway item for 8 weeks paid exactly the price of the item. The family that put it on a credit card and carried a balance paid considerably more. The layaway counter was quiet economic fairness dressed up as a retail policy. Nobody called it that at the time. It was just how you bought the bicycle your son wanted for Christmas when you could not pay for it all at once. The cafeteria in the back of the store is what people remember most consistently when they talk about Kmart from the 1960s through the 1980s. And it is the thing most completely gone from the retail experience today. Not every Kmart had the same setup, but most had something. A lunch counter with hot food, a cafeteria line, booths along a wall with orange vinyl cushions worn smooth from years of use. The hot dogs were a quarter. The coffee was 15 cents and came back without asking. The grilled cheese arrived on white bread, pressed flat on a griddle, cut on the diagonal, with a pickle on the side. Nobody was calling it comfort food. It was just lunch, available at 2 in the afternoon, when you had been shopping for an hour, and your feet hurt, and one of the children was starting to complain. For a mother with 2 children, who had been pulling at her sleeve since the shoe department, the cafeteria was the reason the rest of the trip was possible. Sit down. Eat something. The children settled. The shopping was not over, but there was a pause in it, a place inside the same trip, without going anywhere or restarting the car, where the family could just stop for a few minutes and be still. Modern big-box stores do not have this. Some have a McDonald's near the entrance, but that is a different business inside a building. The Kmart cafeteria was part of the store, the same trip, the same afternoon. The woman who knew your name at the layaway counter might have been the same one who remembered how you took your coffee. That is not efficiency. That is something else entirely, and it is gone. Here is the bigger thing underneath all of it. Kmart, at its best, was built on a simple belief that shopping should feel like more than a transaction. The blue light created surprise. The layaway counter created patience. The cafeteria created rest. The old Kresge lunch counter, the stores grew from created belonging. Each one was a different way of saying to whoever walked through the door that they were welcome here, that they could stay, that something good might happen while they were in the building. Walmart won on price and logistics, and eventually on sheer scale. That is a genuine victory by every business measure that exists. But what Walmart is, and what Kmart was at its peak, are not the same thing. Walmart stores work. They are consistent and efficient, and the shelves are almost always stocked. But walking into a Walmart on a Tuesday afternoon does not make your heart rate go up. No light turns, and no voice on the intercom tells you that something is about to happen in aisle 7, and you have 15 minutes to decide. The first Kmart in Garden City, Michigan, opened on March 1st, 1962. It closed in 2017 and was demolished the year after. The last Kmart in Michigan, the state where the chain was born, closed on November 21st, 2021, in Marshall, a small town of about 7,000 people who had come to rely on it for things they could not easily get anywhere else. A municipal bus route ran directly to the store for residents who could not drive. After the closing, the route had nowhere to go. A handful of Kmarts still exist today in New Jersey, Florida, and the Caribbean territories. The blue light has been gone since 1991, with only a few brief revivals that never lasted more than a season. The layaway counter is gone. The cafeteria is gone. The woman who called you honey at the lunch counter retired 30 years ago. What remains is the memory of a Tuesday afternoon when the light came on over a table in aisle 7, and for 15 minutes the whole store turned in the same direction. Nobody remembers what was on the table. That is not what people hold on to. What they hold on to is that they ran, that for 15 minutes something in a discount store in America made them feel like they were exactly where they were supposed to be. Memory Lane, America. One story at a time.